Well, it's pretty rare that I'll review a movie and not only say I really liked it, but that I think it's important for people to see. And The Remarkable Life of Ibelin is one of those movies. I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. The IMDb synopsis, or rather the storyline, a little bit longer than the synopsis, for The Remarkable Life of Ibelin reads, when Norwegian gamer Mats Sten died at age 25, his parents mourned what they thought was an isolated life. It was only once they had access to his blog that they discovered the deep friendships he created virtually before passing away from a degenerative muscular disease. They were unaware that Mats had long been leading a vibrant digital life that had left a profound impact on a community of fellow gamers. The film takes us on a journey through the breadth of Mats Sten's adventurous online life, introducing us to Ibelin, his charismatic World of Warcraft persona. Through reconstructed animated moments from Mats' gameplay, narrated entries from his blog, and interviews with people who knew him as Ibelin, a picture of a remarkable young man emerges. One that underscores how community and soulful relationships can transcend the boundaries of the physical world. Okay, so this is a documentary. It uses interviews, home video, and original animated video game inspired graphics based on World of Warcraft to present the life of Mats and the relationships that he formed and developed, and the lives that he even changed, all through playing and conversing with others in the World of Warcraft MMO. Thousands of pages from chat logs in the game were used by animators to dramatize in video game style animation some of the key interactions Mats has with others. And it's done in a way that makes it feel like I'm going back and forth between watching a documentary and watching an animated fantasy movie. But it's all the more powerful knowing that there are real people and lives behind this story. Mats also regularly blogged and became very open and transparent near the end of his life. And so the movie lets us in on the struggles and sadness he felt at not being able to do what so many others do, and in particular, not being able to have romantic relationships. And so a major thread involves his struggle between wanting to live out some degree of his romantic desires through the way he role-played in the game with other players, but also knowing at the same time he can only take those things so far. Mats was loved and valued by his player group, most of whom did not know about his condition until near the end of his life or after he passed away. Mats kept even his online relationships at a distance by refusing to do video or audio chatting, sticking exclusively to text communication. The movie also highlights Mats' flaws and how his frustrations with his life caused him to damage some relationships that had to be repaired, which I'm so glad they included as part of the telling of his story, and I'll explain why that is later. The final point of the movie seemed to be that despite his limitations, Mats was able to have a meaningful impact on the lives of others, and I was really left with a beautiful, bittersweet feeling at the end of this that I just wanted to talk about, wanted to share with others. As far as the cast, as it were, it is mostly interviews, but there's a little voice acting that's used in the form of a Mats sound-alike to read his blog entries as voiceover for much of the documentary, and for actors who help dramatize the video game style animation sequences. And it all felt appropriately understated, allowing me to continually be reminded of the reality behind the story. As far as like the visuals, the game style animated sequences look believably like an MMO. I'm not sure if it was made in the World of Warcraft engine or if they kind of started with that as a basis or what the connection is there. The animation seems, and this is coming from someone not familiar really with World of Warcraft, I logged in and played maybe 30 minutes many years ago. But the animation I think seems a bit better than I would think World of Warcraft would be. Even though the visuals don't look, that much more rich in their fidelity. So it captures, I think, the visual vibe of an MMO and probably World of Warcraft in particular, but it takes the animation and the expressiveness in it, in the characters further, which was really valuable. I assumed that they're animating things that would normally be role-played through text, such as sighs wistfully or looks longingly. Those when you're role playing in an MMO, as I understand it, there are like little I don't know what you call them, but you can put things in brackets that just kind of, instead of describing what your character is saying, they describe what your character is doing. And so I think that they were taking those chat logs and taking those descriptions of character feelings and actions and stuff and animating them as if one could see them were they watching the game, even though that in most cases would not have been the case. And I found that to be really a powerful and effective choice for conveying what the player experience may have felt like for those that were kind of in these interactions and role-playing these characters. As far as themes, man, that is one of the chief reasons I think to watch this. There's three things that really stand out to me. First, we don't know the stories and situations of those who lash out online. I'm so glad they included that part of Matt's story where he kind of pushed people away, offended some people, and we all have had that experience. I think more often from random people whose usernames we don't know. It's just the first time we've seen them and they're just, lashing out. Maybe just in general, let's say us, just Christians or whatever, when you kind of take offense at that. Or maybe it is more, if you're used to blogging or posting content or whatever, maybe it is more directed at you in your experience. But I think to some degree, we've all felt like we've been lashed out at online from people that we know a little bit or maybe don't know at all. And we don't know their stories. I think it's very easy for us to kind of think that or not think that we do, but come up with an idea in our head of who they are and what they're like and kind of dismissively categorize them so that we can feel justified in our anger that we're feeling. But really, they could be in circumstances like Matt's or any number of circumstances we would not wish on anyone. The next time someone mistreats us online, it's worth considering that they may be dealing with horrible life circumstances. In fact, I would generally bet that is the case, since I don't know about you, but I don't lash out or become short, cutting, or abrasive with people when I'm feeling content and happy. I don't think anyone does. We tend to want to hold on to our perceived right to be angry with people who mistreat us online. But James 1:20 says that the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God, which we are meant to live out and see produced as fruit in our lives. And this movie, I believe, will further help me let go of anger in favor of compassion as I'm verbally mistreated online. And that's not only a more righteous way to live or in line with God is kind of what that idea of righteousness is. It's also just a much better experience of life to live that way. The second standout to me was just the observation, the remembrance, I should say, that online relationships, they are not the ideal. And although this movie kind of holds them up as saying, hey, he was having meaningful interactions with people, I don't think we can rightly walk away from the movie and conclude that the movie is saying they're just as ideal. They are equally ideal as in-person physical relationships. I don't think the movie is trying to go that far. They should not be a substitute. And so we rightly look with some sadness on someone who is only living out their life through online relationships. I wished so much that part of Matt's story was a local church and deep relationships there. And that's what we should endeavor to be as the local church. As geeks, we know what it's like to want to be reached out to and cared about. And sometimes we're just content, I think many times we're just content to wait for others to do that. Like, why aren't people reaching out to me? But we're the ones that know more than anyone how important that is. And so that's why we should be the first to learn to push past our reservations and reach out to those in our local church. Or if we just don't feel ready and have it in us to do that, to put ourselves on the road to getting there by investing in connection with others in person and developing comfort and skill in our in-person relationships. Thirdly, though, that said, our online interactions and relationships matter. We should not be in the mindset that, we can just say whatever we want to people online. We can just kind of voice what we're feeling and not give any attention to sensitivity. Or be dismissive about the idea of people investing in online friendships through gaming or other platforms. These relationships, they do matter. They do matter. If we are truly investing and caring about those we have community with online, we can be a real help and encouragement. which should infuse our online gaming and other online interactions with both a sobering and exciting sense of purpose and value if we choose to be intentional about it. So again, that's not to say that they should be a substitute for our in-person relationships. Absolutely not. Paul expressed so often in his letters how much he wanted to be with the people he was writing to. So clearly that is, the in-person relationships are the ideal presented in Scripture. But we can take a cue from this movie, we can take a cue from the letters of Paul, and recognize that even long distance, whatever we can invest in these relationships is valuable. It is important, and we shouldn't be dismissive of the depth to which we interact with others online, or the kindness and patience and compassion with which we interact with others online, because it matters. All right, no idea what your tastes are in movies, but if I were a time traveler, I'd go back in time and say, Peter, don't miss this. Don't miss it. You probably will. You just kind of randomly saw it pop up as something new from Netflix and decided to put it on thinking you'd watch it just as a side thing while you're playing a video game, but it didn't take long at all before you were locked in and giving it your full attention the rest of the time. Watch it. Look for opportunities to show it to family and friends. Watch it together with them. Talk about it afterward. It's not only a good movie, it's a life-equipping, life-improving movie if we'll allow it to be that. This one's rated PG-13 for brief, strong language. You can get this one on Netflix. That's where I saw it. I don't know if it's available anywhere else, but that's all I have to say right now about the remarkable life of Ibelin. As always, I would love to get your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, click the bell, do the stuff. I want to thank the Spirit Blade Insiders for making this review possible. You can get info about the benefits of joining at patreon.com/Spirit Blade Productions. Then I hope you'll check out our podcast and stay connected to all CGC content at christiangeekcentral.com as we continue to geek out and seek the truth. For more chat about geek entertainment, answers to your questions, and news from the wider world of Christian geekery, get the Christian Geek Central podcast today on iTunes and other podcast services.